All right, so I'll create something very quick. Show you the fundamental event handling mechanism via delegates. So if I go create a new project, okay, so anyway, if I pick a Windows Forms application, oops, okay, and go to our fall 2015, and let me just call it delegate test, and Windows Forms application, click OK. Okay, so first I will create a very simple class, just like I was showing you on the board. So if I right-click on name of the project, okay, and choose add new item. Okay, pick a class, and suppose I call this class my compute. So my compute is the class, right? And I'll just write a very simple method over here. So suppose I write something public double compute int b. Okay, and suppose, let's say we say double is equal to 2.5 times a minus 3.6 times b. So some computation, right? In return res. Okay. So if I wanted to trigger this through a delegate. Okay, so the question is, where do we declare the delegate?
Above the class. Before the
One
class.
option is I go above this class and declare a delegate. So I can say delegate, let's say
Double.
cdel. It returns a double, right? So I will say double and int x and y. Okay, so that would be one option, right? The other option is, if you're creating quite a few delegates, let me cut this out of there, and to put it in a separate file, okay? So if I go over here, right-click, add new item, okay, pick a class. See, if you take a look over here to add a new item, you will not see any option to add a delegate, okay? But because in C# file names have nothing to do with the content, you can ask to be added, to add a class. So suppose I ask a class to be added, and I call it my delegates. So name of the class is my delegates, right? However, once it creates that file, I delete the class. And I paste the declaration, oops. Did I copy? Okay, I forgot to, okay. Delegate double cdel. Suppose I call it compdel int b. So anyway, I'm declaring the delegate right right in this file called my delegates. Okay, so now even though I asked for a class, I deleted the class, and so that's probably a better way. In the same project, if you wanted to create more delegates, you can just add another line over here, right? So to test it quickly, if I go and I'll go to the toolbox. So if I put a button, okay, so suppose BTN, let's say test 1. Test 1. Okay, so now if I wanted to call the compute function through the delegate, first I will create one object of the myCompute class, right? Then I will create one object of the compute del, CD equal to, right? So take a look over here. I did not put anything in the constructor, right? So immediately we'll give you an error because we cannot leave the constructor of a delegate blank, right? So then you will type in MC dot and compute. And by the way, you will not type in compute because anytime you put something in parentheses, that means you're calling a function. The purpose of a delegate is simply to point. Okay. So anyway, so this will be simply compute. Now we can say double res equal to CD of, let's say, 5, 7, and message box dot show res dot toString, right? Anyway, so if I run it, okay, click on the button. So now through the delegate calls and gives us the results, so right. Okay, so now very quickly to show you when the event handling part, okay. Okay, so suppose I go over here, add one more button, and suppose I call this, let's say, BTN hello. And give it a text property of hello, right? And now I double click on this button and simply say, for example, message box dot show hello there. Okay, so now take a look over here, the signature of this event handler. See, BTN hello is the name we gave, right? Then underscore click, do you see object sender event argc, just like we were discussing, the return is void, right? Okay, so if I run it, and this is what you have been doing all along, you run it, you click, it gives you the output, okay? However, if you now go and say, change the name to it, say hello, and let's pretend you don't like it, you just wanted to change the name of this to say hello, right? Now if I try running it, okay, first of all you'll get an error, right? So if you say no, it will give you a message, something BTN hello underscore click doesn't exist, okay? So go ahead, double click on this error. So if you double click on this error, it will take a look over here, form1.designer.cs, right? And it's taking you to this line where it was establishing the delegate. So take a look here, BTN hello click plus equal to new system.event handler. This is the predefined delegate, right? And which function is it trying to call? BTN hello click, but we changed it to what? BTN say hello. So all you have to do is just go over here and change it to say hello, right? And now if I run it, the error will go away. And if I click over here, it will call, right? And just like we discussed, now let's go, if I put one more button on the form, and suppose I call it BTN say hi. Okay, and I change this to say hi. Okay, so now I won't double click on this button because normally that's what we do. We double click on it to write an event handler. Let me do it manually over. So if I right click on the form, or let me just go to right click on form and view code. Okay, so this is the form1.cs, not the designer. Okay, and let me locate the constructor. So do you see the initialized component, right? So now what I'll do is I will say btn say hi dot click plus equal to, this is how we tie it to an event handler, right? And we'll create the delegate, new event handler. Okay, and what function do we want to point to? Let's pretend we also wanted to point it to the same, btn say hello. Okay, so then what will we do? We will say btn